Stop. Before you read another headline about Iran, I need to ask you one question. If someone punched you in the face, what would you do? You would punch back. Simple, natural. But what if the person who punched you is standing in 5 different countries at the same time? What if they had no address, no flag, no uniform, no headquarters? What exactly would you punch back? That is the secret weapon Iran built, and that is the reason why the most powerful military machine on earth cannot finish this fight. Most people think Iran's defense is about nuclear programs, about missiles, about spinning centrifuges and underground bunkers. The news shows you generals making speeches, rockets launching over the desert, explosions. And you think, okay, that is Iran's power. Wrong. Completely wrong. That is the surface. That is the show Iran puts on for the cameras. Because while everyone is watching the missile, Iran already moved the real weapon somewhere else entirely. And nobody is talking about it. Iran's real secret weapon has a name. It is called the Axis of Resistance. And it is, without exaggeration, the most strategically brilliant military invention of the 21st century. Here is how it works. Imagine you are a chess player, but instead of playing on one board, you're playing on 7 boards simultaneously. And on every single board, your opponent has to respond to you. You attack from Lebanon, then Yemen, then Iraq, then Gaza. 7 moves on 7 boards at the same time. Your opponent has 1 king. You have 7 queens. That is what Iran built. Let me make it even simpler. Imagine a spider, one spider sitting quietly in the center of a web. The spider itself is small, fragile, easy to crush if you can catch it. But the web? The web stretches for miles in every direction. Touch one thread anywhere and the spider feels it instantly and responds. That spider is Iran. That web is the Axis of Resistance. Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, Hamas in Gaza, the PMF forces in Iraq, Islamic Jihad in Palestine, dozens of armed groups across Syria, Afghanistan, and beyond. 1 spider, 7 webs, 0 return address. Now let us talk numbers, because numbers do not lie, and these numbers will genuinely shock you. Hezbollah alone has over 150,000 rockets and missiles stockpiled in Lebanon. That is more firepower than most European armies combined. The Houthis in Yemen have successfully attacked Saudi oil facilities, American naval destroyers, and international shipping lanes using drones that cost less than a used motorcycle. The PMF in Iraq controls territory larger than several European countries put together. And here is the number that completely breaks military planners' brains. The United States spends $900 billion every single year on defense. Iran spends roughly $10 billion. That is a 90-to-1 spending ratio. And yet, Iran has effectively tied down American military resources across 5 countries simultaneously, with $10 billion against $900 billion. You do the math. But here is where it gets truly dangerous. For everyone. Traditional warfare has rules that everyone understands. Countries have addresses. You know where to bomb. You know who to negotiate with. You know when the war ends. But the Axis of Resistance destroys every single one of those rules. When Israel struck Gaza, Hezbollah immediately opened a second front from Lebanon. When the United States killed Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, Iraqi PMF forces launched 22 separate attacks on American bases within just 48 hours. When Gulf tensions rise, the Houthis shut down commercial shipping across the entire Red Sea. Every single action creates 5 reactions, in 5 different locations, simultaneously. Military strategists call this multi-front saturation, and there is no clean, affordable defense against it. None. Okay, let us pause right here. Let us keep it simple. What have we learned so far? 1. Iran does not fight wars with its own soldiers if it can avoid it. 2. Iran spent 40 years carefully building a network of proxy forces across 7 countries. 3. These forces are deeply embedded in local populations, fully self-sustaining, and nearly impossible to destroy from the air. 4. Every dollar America spends responding to this network is a dollar Iran never had to spend itself. Now here comes the part that nobody in Washington ever wants to say out loud. The reason this weapon permanently changed Iran's defense is not rockets. It is not drones. It is not even geography. It is time. Iran spent 40 years building this network, while America spent 40 years fighting losing wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. While America burned through $6 trillion on wars that went absolutely nowhere, Iran was quietly planting roots in Lebanon, in Yemen, in Iraq, in Syria. Roots so deep that even if you burn the entire tree to the ground, the roots survive underground, and the tree grows back stronger than before. America built aircraft carriers. Iran built relationships. And in 21st century warfare, deep relationships outlast every aircraft carrier ever built. So what happens next? Game theory gives us a precise answer. Any direct military strike on Iran today automatically triggers a 7-front response that no military on Earth, including America's, can cleanly or cheaply manage. This is exactly why, despite years of threats, despite assassinations, despite crushing sanctions, despite sophisticated cyber attacks, nobody has launched a full-scale war on Iran. Not because they lack the weapons, but because the math is catastrophic. You bombed Iran. Hezbollah fires thousands of rockets into Israel overnight. Houthis physically close the Strait of Hormuz. Global oil hits $300 a barrel. The world economy stops breathing, all triggered by one single decision. That is not just a secret weapon. That is a checkmate move on the global board. Here is the final truth. And this one matters far beyond Iran, far beyond the Middle East, far beyond any single conflict. The most powerful weapon in the world is not the one that destroys the fastest. It is the one that makes the cost of attacking you so impossibly high that no rational enemy will ever pull the trigger. Iran understood this. They built for it. Quietly, patiently, over 4 decades. The world does not belong to the strongest army. It belongs to the most expensive problem to solve. And right now, Iran is the most expensive problem on the entire planet.